Welcome to Built with Grit. I am your host and strategic partner in cost reduction, Luis Fernandez. And today I'm joined by my friend Jake Carls, co-founder of Midday Squares. Really excited to have this conversation. Jake, how are you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm fired up. I'm sitting by a lake right now. I'm excited for the weekend. It's a Friday. Just feeling good. I had a rough week with work, so I'm pumped to end it strong. That's what I'm pumped to. So I'm also pumped to have this conversation.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So we'll get into Midday Squares here in a second. I was curious. You've got first off, I love your style. I just like I saw you on LinkedIn. I was like, I just love you. You can't. You got to be genuine. Like, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I'm like a firecracker. I'm unapologetically myself. I don't like bureaucracy. I don't like limitations. I don't like the way that you know, I was brought up in a way where I was told to do all these things. You got to take this route, take this route. So I did take that route because why wouldn't you? And then I broke through that, and I kind of was just like, holy shit, this is like freedom. Like my goal now is to we're building a chocolate business, like we're going to build a modern day conglomerate, hopefully in the next 10 years, over the next 10 years. But in the meantime, is to show people that you could win by being unapologetically yourself every single day and not have to cave to the limitations of society.
Yeah. I yeah, and you're obviously living that. I mean, so that's absolutely my favorite thing. Every time I see anything from you, it makes me smile just because it's okay. So LinkedIn is a great platform for B2B. Um, the problem, like the most thing that I could tell you about LinkedIn is that there's emotional reactions and laugh is not one of them. Right. So that's just kind of like they're telling you exactly what they expect out of the platform. And I feel like you just sort of throw it back in their face every time. Like I have to comment because there is no like
I know what you mean, man. Like for me, it's like I was told to be professional on that originally. And I was just like, okay, I don't even know what that means. That professional, I don't know what professional means in quotations. So I just started being myself. And again, I want to be a good vibes train for people, where they could just laugh, smile, because that's an added value in life. Like you said before on this call, before we started, the internet has certain gifts that it sometimes brings you. I want to be one of those gifts to certain people because at the end of the day, if I could portray a message, and entertain and make someone smile, it changes someone else's potential moment. And I think that's super powerful and much needed in a world of, we're going through a bit of pessimism and stuff like that, just with where the world's at. So I think this optimism is kind of fun, exciting, different, unique. And I also want to show the business journey of it where we're seeing success, failures, and all that stuff that being transparent with it is really cool.
So tell me a little bit tell me about how you grew up.
So I grew up, my father's an entrepreneur. My mom's a great mother. Just like took care of us, me and my two other siblings. So we're three of us. And we all grew up to be entrepreneurs, which is really funny. My sister was really bad at school. She dropped out and went to acting school. My brother was really good at school. He was in honors in finance, blah, 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 became an entrepreneur also in the toy industry. And then I was the middle. I was like, okay at school, but I really love people. I loved human connection. Like I love the idea of being with people and networking. And I don't like the word networking specifically. I like the word just like hanging and being friends with people because I realized that was my superpower. That was my gift. And I needed to apply that somewhere where it would have its freedom to explode. And the journey I'm on currently, which is Midday Squares, the company I co-founded, it allows me to do that. It allows me to just be with people, and actually just become single day, and being unapologetically myself. So that's where my like trajectory went. Was I was going to be an actuary actually, originally. And then I just completely said, screw that, and went entrepreneurial route because I was like, I got to do what I love. I got to do what I love in the end. That's all.
That's so beautiful. I love that you said like I don't like networking. I think this is my issue. So whenever I have gone to a networking event, I end up meeting like two, maybe three people because I like having conversations and going deeper with folks, right? So 300 people at a party, I end up like I find the one spot and I start talking to somebody, and like, just like our conversation here, right? And I'll chat with somebody for like an hour, and then I kind of feel bad for like them too. Like, sorry, you didn't get to meet anybody else. But that's more valuable to me is kind of what I see a lot in a lot of those events, is that it's this transactional, it's a search for a transactional relationship with somebody where, which person of this large conglomerate of people here is going to have the largest transactional value for me, that I can get the most out of this conversation. And the only way to find them is to be like the little bee, right? Like from one flower to the next.
Yeah.
Whereas me is like, I kind of look at this differently, and a sort of flip that over and say, I don't know what each person has and who they can introduce me to, or what, like, but if I sit down and I get to know them, then in the end, maybe I'll be able to help somebody else too. Right. Like it's sort of flipping, and I'm not sure that I would recommend it to anybody, but it's definitely my personal preference. It's beautiful to hear someone else say it back.
Yeah. I honestly just love to chat and hang with people. I don't even care what they do or what their title is. I couldn't even give a flying poo about what they do, because at the end of the day, when you connect with someone, there's value in that, whether that's through your personal life or your business life. And those are both value adds in whatever they offer you. So for me, I love to go hang. Like I'm excited for the world to keep opening up, because I love physical stuff. I love meeting people. And it's a big part of my life and a big part of my superpower to go out there and do it during Zooms and like FaceTimes. And it's just not my thing. It's not me. I can't physically move around. I can't touch. I can't do these things that I'm good at, So yeah, I miss that.
As a Cuban, I can empathize with that, because I'm always doing this too.
Yes, I love that. That fires me up.
So, okay, so let's talk about, you said you were an actuary and kind of had this like self-actualization moment and said, I need to go into, be me. So, tell me a little bit about that. That is a massive leap and a wonderful one. At least for those of us that have made that jump, we're always welcoming more folks. Also knowing it's like, hey, come join us in the deep end. You might drown, but it's so much fun, right?
Yeah, dude. My realization was in third year of college. I just couldn't do it. I really disliked what I was doing, and I was doing it for the sake of getting it done, and for society to have a good job after school. I liked math, but I didn't really enjoy anything I was doing with the actuary stuff. And I just said to myself, what do I really love? Like it was a moment of like, it was a low point, and I was like putting on a front almost every single day, and not being myself, and kind of just saying, oh, I love this. I'm getting through, but like I really wasn't. Like I was barely getting through. I was getting like 59, 60%, struggling my ass off, didn't want to do anything, didn't care to learn. And eventually you got to be honest with yourself. You just got to say to yourself, like, whatever, who cares about anyone else's judgment? Like I had a fear of judgment at the time. And I was worried about, oh, people are going to think, oh, Jake couldn't do it. Jake couldn't make it. He was a big shot to go into that program. And, he obviously wasn't going to make it. He never finishes anything. And I was scared of that. I had anxiety, insecurities about that. And when I said to myself, screw it, and I just like let go and drop the mic, and I was like, I'm going to step down from this, and this is my decision, and I'm going to take full accountability for this decision, and I'm going to run with it and not look back. I felt so liberated. And then I finished my graduate with a degree, and then I went right away into entrepreneurship to try to test things I loved. And I knew that like my first business failed anyways, like dramatically, but I learned so much. And I learned that I loved that aspect, that adrenaline, the thrill, the idea of like being able to like build something special. And then that led me to my second venture. Well, it's technically my third venture, but second venture, big venture, was Midday Squares. And this one's been a success so far. But if I would have taken the other route consistently, I would have done what 95% of the world does. They stay in the pocket where they're scared of what's the risk of being in an uncomfortable zone, or their fear, the judgment of others. And I think those two things are such a dangerous game to play. It's a very dangerous game. People play with their relationships in life. They play it with the work that they work at. They play it with everything, the investments they make. And I think that affects and limits our society as a whole from growing and innovating, because It's really outsiders who change the world in the sense of people that go out and do that something different and take that risk. But if we had more of those, I think the world would even evolve quicker. But our society, unfortunately, has this fear, and fear is real. It's not something fake. It's real. It could be, but it could be used to your advantage or your disadvantage. You choose what it's used for, right? So that moment when I changed actuary, I had so much fear and anxiety and insecurity, but I used the fear, the emotions that I was having to push me forward, not backwards.
Now, I empathize a lot with what you're talking about. And mine is the financial security fear. Um, I've got three little kids, and we've been married for some time, and making that decision of, you know, I, I I realized that it wasn't that I just don't like my bosses, is that I don't want to work for anybody else. Like I, I got real good at making other people rich. And so it was kind of like it's time for me to, take this massive cut, because at senior leadership levels, you're doing well, and let's go do this thing on my own. And it's you're right, the fear is real, and it absolutely is like a kind of a regular topic of conversation. The other thing with when you start making money, you elevate your lifestyle too. um, and so like your new bar is set kind of high. But no, so that's absolutely beautiful, man. So how did you get into the chocolate business? Like what was it about? Now I love chocolate, I absolutely love chocolate, like um and I this is also the second podcast where I've mentioned how much I love chocolate. So it's
I love that. I love that, man.
what
Jacks
what
me up.
what made you like, how did you pick this, and what made you guys get started? What was the inspiration for this?
So my partners are my sister, my brother-in-law. Basically, my sister was creating my brother-in-law, her husband. Um, she believed it would make him a better for you chocolate snack, an alternative to what he was eating already at 2 p.m. every day. He was eating chocolate because he was addicted to it, but he was having chocolate that was full of cane sugar, that was full of junk. And she was always loved experiments with different foods, and she basically made this chocolate alternative at the time. This is like 2017, and he brought it to his office. He had a software company, and they all fell in love with it. And she was just doing it as a hobby. She was in fashion, and long story short, he was once in the shower and he received a report from a big conglomerate in Canada, the M&A team, and showed that real chocolate was growing at 4% year over year. So like anything above 55% cocoa mass, dark chocolate made with like real food ingredients, not palm kernel oil. And that vegan proteins, plant-based proteins were growing at 36% year over year. And it clicked in his head that holy shit, my sister Leslie, his wife was making a baby of those two categories. So when he sold out of his business, he had a 2-year non-compete, and he said to my sister, he's like, we always want to work together. Let's launch that chocolate snack you used to make us. And this is in like early 2018 now. And they're like, well, this is whack, but we'll try it. And they reached out to McGill Food Science, which is a it's a university here in Canada, very well respected. And basically what happened was they created the snack with the McGill, and then they reached out to me before they launched, and they're like, can you be the third co-founder? We need someone to be a hype man and someone to build community, and build the noise for the brand. And I was just like, fuck no, excuse my language. I was like, I ain't doing no chocolate and protein. I can't, that's the most saturated space in the world. And I said, I'm a candy man anyways. I love candy. And from that moment on, I said, you know what? At the time, my ex-girlfriend, she broke up with me. She canned me, and it was out of nowhere after 4 years. So I was in a bit of a lost phase in my life. I was running a company, I was failing, and I was like, kind of like, I was insecure. I was like, what do I do? And I just decided to join and said, screw it. In August 2018, about 3 years ago from next week, we launched the brand, Midday Squares, which is basically, we're a better for you chocolate snacking company. And our first product is the first functional chocolate bar. It's basically a chocolate bar that's dark chocolate made with the same functions of a protein bar, but doesn't have all the junk, artificial chalk, all that jazz with it. And it lives in the fridge because it's fresh. So we launched it, and ever since then, it's been a wild roller coaster.
uh it's amazing. So you posted about it, and I think you mentioned something about some store that you'd got into, and I went to the website and found a location. You actually have a location here in Tucson that you guys are in. And I told my wife, I was like, hey, I gotta go try this thing. And I bought one of all the flavors. I gotta say that the fudge one is my favorite, the straight chocolate on chocolate. And like just tore it up, man. It's so dang good. And the texture wise, like everything about it, I absolutely love it. Luckily the Sprouts isn't that close to my house, but
I love it.
you made a believer. And honestly, I think I asked you like right after I ate it, I sent you a note and was like, would you like to come on a podcast to talk about like this is
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Dude, I appreciate you even taking the chance to support us and give us that chance and go get there. And then obviously give us the feedback and support. It means a lot. That's how we grow. That's how we grow.
Absolutely. And I strongly recommend it to everybody. Really, really wonderful product. So one thing for me is like you go from something that you're making at home, right, to how many stores did you say you're in now?
I think we're in 16 or 1800. I don't know the exact number, but we don't rush the amount of doors. So what we do is we actually do the quantity per door. So we focus on getting strong turns before we go into a lot of doors. So right now we're in North America, we're in about 16 to 1800. By end of 22, we'll be in about 3,500. And for us, 40% of our business is D2C. So it's direct to consumer, 40%.
Yeah. You say that so like nonchalantly. Let me tell you, like you're literally doubling the production in a year, right? Like this isn't small potatoes. I'm a guy I've worked in manufacturing. Doubling the out, that's a massive undertaking that you just said. Like, like I say, I'm gonna pick up my kid today at 3:30. Like,
Yeah, I know. And you know what? I think here's the key is like, it was 3 years of wildness. We started in our condo, my sister and my brother-in-law's condo. We were three of us, just us three, obviously. We moved out of the condo and no choice because we had 5 team members total. It was us, three, and two others. Then it was, sorry, 16 members. It was 3 and 3, and it was too crowded in there. So we moved into a small kitchen. Right when we moved into a small kitchen, we got some small machinery. We started hiring more. We were like 12 of us, 15 of us. And then we tried to go to a co-packer. So most food companies go to co-manufacturers or co-packers, what they call them, is basically they do your manufacturing, you do your sales, marketing, all that jazz. So you don't have to worry about the manufacturing. They do all the automation, right? So we went to 26 across North America that do all the bars that that you guys have eaten in the past. And 24 said no, because they said that it's too hard to make this product. We don't know how to. And then 2 said they would do it, but the only way they would do it is if we bought the custom machinery and built the custom machinery and gave it to them to put in their facility to make. And we're just like, well, screw that. We're going to go build our own facility, figure out how to customize this machinery and scale it. Because everyone told us, every expert in the field of chocolate, protein bars said, you're not going to be able to do this for $3 million. It's going to cost you $20 million of research, this, that, till you build the factory. And that you're not going to be able to even scale this product because it's so complex to make that it's too hard to scale it at the scale you need to. You could probably do like, in small pans by humans, but you'd have to have 500,000-600,000 humans to make scalable products, right? So that was something unique about us, was we had to become a manufacturer and a chocolate factory. We actually had to build our own chocolate factory, which was a very stressful time because you basically risk everything, right? So it was a $3 million build out. And it was on theoretical only. There was no machinery in the past that made this product, right? We had to build it from custom scratch with custom machine builders. And when it landed in our new facility that we moved into in January 2020, we only started getting it working like now. Honestly, like now it's fully automated, like it's working finally. And our capacities that we could go to was from that condo from day one in August. We were doing about 100 to 200 a day, maybe max, maybe 300 if we worked really, really hard. Now we could do at the capacities 90,000 squares in one day, which is crazy, which is whack to think about in under 3 years. So that's what we're gunning for, is to be a chocolate manufacturer that does better for you snacks. Obviously, this is our first product line, but we're going to have many down the line. But we want to be we want to have all the factories across North America and the US and Canada. Yeah, we're just gunning for it. It's just very expensive.
Absolutely is. I there was a time in my life that my job was to build assembly lines for Fortune 100. So, bring a new product to market and then build the assembly line and then create this product. Those are major undertakings. And this is, we're building an assembly line inside of a factory. And it's approaching those same numbers. I mean, this is, that doesn't include all of the parts and everything that you got to buy and everything, so that is phenomenal. Also, it's great that all those people said no. I'm sorry. Like at the time you would not have wanted to hear this, but you guys are at the forefront of something now. You're uncopyable.
Exactly. Or if one of the conglomerates want to copy us, it's going to take them 2 years to figure out probably the process, or a year and a half. So we have a huge runway. Right. And it's just like, for us, it's like, I don't know, it was a very stressful thing to do, but it was also one of the best parts of the business, to be honest, that we own our core competency, which is how to build the product. Right. A lot of these companies, think about it, they ship out their core competency to third parties to make the product, which is in my opinion, the weirdest thing, because I get some people don't want to put the capital down. They don't have the capital. They can't do it. And I get it. And that, it's a distraction for growth. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you were a tech company and you outsourced all your engineers and you were just like it's a bit weird, it's like, you need to have certain engineers to be able to manage and operate and change, blah, blah, blah. So for us, it's like, we wanted to own that manufacturing, which sets us apart just from that alone, a lot than 95% of the CPG companies out there right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think, and I know the endeavor, what you're talking about. It's funny because, when I went looking for the midday squares, my wife was like, they're refrigerated. You got to come over here. I was looking in the wrong spot. Right. And so that just shows you, as far as like a consumer, right, my own expectations of, where I should find this and what I was looking for were completely shattered.
And that's been very difficult for us to win the customer, because the customer naturally thinks bars will be in the bar category, where they're in the aisle in the middle of the store, or the front near the cashiers, the cashiers, and it's grab and go, and that's where it is. But we're not there, right? So we have to completely educate the customer to go to the fresh snacking sets, which are typically either in the dairy sections of the refrigerated dairy sections, even though we're not dairy product, we're a vegan product, or like where these like end cap coolers are, which they have like different like beverages and stuff like that. But again, we have to direct the traffic there. They're not naturally going there. So unless they know the brand and know us well, the discovery impulse aspect is a lot. There's a lack of it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a complication for us. In Canada, it's been very difficult because Canada's a little bit more behind on retail game in the sense of how the stores are structured compared to the US. So we have to build up the entire category here. But in the US, you have brands like Perfect Bar and some other great brands that have built out the category, and we just inserted it right around there.
Yeah, it's no easy task. I will tell you though that thankfully in 2020, you have the capacity, or 21 now, you have the capacity to actually reach the consumer for a much lower price with organic marketing techniques that simply would not have been feasible even 8 years ago or whatever. Like this is you're in the prime time for going out there and educate, and consumers are interested. That's the other thing, is that people are interested in something new, exciting, and different.
100%. It's
the
right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like me included, right? Like we went out of our way to drive to a store that we don't normally go to try this new product, right? Like I just feel, as far as like your consumer base, this is what you did. Your marketing, you marketed directly to me through an organic means. It wasn't a paid ad. And I drove, 5 miles to a store that I never go to go find this product, right? Wow. and then research, look for it in the store, because I didn't even know where I was going, so congrats, it's working.
Thank you. Well, we're trying. It's been tough. It's been very tough to educate the refrigerated section stuff, but we're getting there slowly but surely, brick by brick. It will come. Time will come.
What I'm also hearing from you is, and this is a kind of an important piece for somebody who's really anybody who's in this space, is that your entire strategy is all playing towards, they're all playing with each other, right? So like you understand that, we're gonna manufacture this a certain way and we're gonna market it a certain way. Like everybody is intertwined and working together in how to, push this the business forward.
Yeah, the full circle has to always be fully transparent. So um, basically, sorry, there's a lot of honking in my background. I don't know what that is. It's like nonstop honking. But no, full circle. So if my customer team isn't humanizing the experience and putting the love that our production team associates are putting in by making the product so perfect and so amazing and so much love, but then you have our marketing team who's going above and beyond the humanization, and then just the customer team is not giving that, there's a disconnect. You need to always have the dots connected, right? They all need to have the same value, the same type of mentality. Sorry, there's so much honking. To be honest, I don't, if you don't mind, it doesn't make a difference.
I know, go for it.
Yeah, so I just think that you need to, as a business in today's world, you can't just have one department be amazing. Every department has to have the same vision, at least, and treatment towards things. Because if the company doesn't show love in all aspects, then there'll be a domino no matter what. Because imagine the people making the bars were putting zero effort into the product and kind of were just like, okay, whatever, let the quality control go. Who cares? Blah, 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 get it out. Speed, 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 speed. But then you have all the inbound that's going to come from the customer now to our customer team saying, what the hell's going on? And then they have to go make up for it, which takes their time away from the standard stuff that they're doing to do amazing things. So I think that something about Midday Squares is we value our customer and our experience so much that it's part of our core values as the entire company to give the full experience, all connected dots.
I want people, that's absolutely beautiful. I want people to, I like to appreciate the goods and services and products. And, one thing I've said many, many times is that everything that you buy, everything you exchange money for, good or service, behind it is somebody who put everything on the line to get that to you. And when I look at, because I researched Midday Squares quite a bit after I like was like, this is amazing. And then I went and like looked at the website, and I'm thinking about, from the website design and how it's driving people to the experience, your organic marketing and how you're going out there, the production of the product, the wrapping, the colors that are being chosen, the pictures that are being taken. Every one of these is a decision. You may just pull that wrapper apart and eat this thing and put it in the trash. That's weeks of work that you just tossed.
Yep. And that's the craziness about business, is that there's so much stuff that goes behind the scenes that not every customer gets to see, but it's our effort and our duty, a mandate, to share that journey via, our social media channels, to show the day-to-day of what it is to build a business and show the journey of entrepreneurship so that the customer can feel like they're on the roller coaster with us and not just watching us.
And so let's just talk about like those nuts and bolts a little bit. For someone that they may have a good product and they may have a great idea. You talked about outsourcing the production of the core competency, and I think that's important to keep that. Although I could see the argument on both sides of that, but as far as like nuts and bolts, right? So you guys, you're when do you realize I need to move from a condo to a kitchen, from a kitchen to a factory? How are you making those calls? Because you're moving into a factory before you've got that factory full of orders.
Yeah. So it was all of just question of when we felt so uncomfortable, we had to get out of these zones, like where it became too claustrophobic. We waited to those moments. And like I said, the condos where we started, 2 months later, we were in a small kitchen. Less than a year later, we were in another facility. And it was a question of, discomfort. The second we felt that discomfort, we knew from our gut it was time to move. And like I said, building that facility without the full, demand or capacity to available to do all that capacity was a risk, but there was no middle ground. So we had no choice. Like you couldn't just like go from small kitchen to medium kitchen. It doesn't work like that in food. So you needed to automate it just from a unit economic standpoint and stuff like that. So we had to jump that ship, and that was the risk. We bet the farm, and it paid off. As long as you have a product market fit, which is super important, your product needs to be great. You can't have a shit product and expect to win. You could scam people at first and be like, yeah, try it, blah, blah, blah. And the first time purchase is great, but you need returning customers to consistently. So you need to build a community. So if your community is not there, how the hell are you going to continue to grow? You know, the answer is not to just open more doors, more doors, more doors, more stores. It's to actually create strong demand in all those stores and push the numbers that you need to push that are above the average or above your competitors. And a lot of companies just mistaken growth by opening more doors. Like they'll go, oh, we should open 10,000 doors. Like, yeah, no shit, that's going to open more sales. But the problem is if you have no strategy or no depth to the stores, what's the point?
Absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I talk about how business growth is not like kind of this slope. There's a little bit of a slope, but then you reach a point, and then the next is a jump up, and the next is another jump up. Like these are not, and that's not just for food production. I tell you, like that is everywhere, because you're first from, I'm gonna do both of these. I'm gonna have a full-time job and then my business. Well, that first jump is quitting, and then the next jump is hiring somebody, and then for a while you're only hiring operations folks. You're only hiring people that are creating a product for you, and then it comes to, I need to hire marketing. I need to hire, a CFO. I need to, like, now you get to a point where you have to hire administrative staff to help support. Like these are, and you're not going to do just one, right? So it's validating to hear, in another industry, kind of the same thing of, there's no medium kitchen. It's this guy and then a factory.
It's yay or nay.
Absolutely.
It's binary, 0 or 1. That's all it is. And we had to make that decision, and we took the risk, and we're still, every day it's a risk, and we're okay with risk, and I'm okay with whatever happens, like whatever, floats, whatever float happens. If we win or we don't win, at least we're going to die on this hill, and I think that's what's important.
Love it. And so now, getting into stores, how did you figure out, who your ideal customer was going to be, what they look like, and then, where they're at?
So we learned, our customer base is pretty, at first my hypothesis was, let's go general and chocolate lovers and see how that turns out. And then we start to find out that moms are our typical customer. So, females between 30 and 60, and they were the diehards. And then they would get their partners, their kids, and all these other people to eat it. And then what we did is we started asking them where they shop, and then we would put the product where they shop. So they go to this gym, we put it in that gym. They'd go to this coffee shop, we put it into that coffee shop. Then they go to this natural grocery store, we put it in there. And then that's how the strategy kept building. And then the fourth thing is conventional grocery stores. And then on top of that would be like gas, convenience, and discount. So we're not there at the gas, convenience, discount. We're playing the game of natural right now in the US, and then conventional will probably come end of next year or 2 years from now. But in Canada, we're in conventional, we're in natural, we're in the gyms, food service, and that's how we grow it. And it's just run the company by data. You got to run by data. You can't just guess and check all the time.
How are you guys gathering that information? Because I mean, like, like if I go to a Sprouts and buy this product, they're probably not giving you data on who I am. They're collecting it, but they're not passing it on to you, right?
No, so we could see the D2C stuff. So we could tell by our direct to consumer. We could tell by our fan base on how when we interact with them on surveys and stuff like that. That's how we really tell the demographic. But from retail, like, we could see, we buy some POS data and stuff like that. It doesn't give us all that, but we've learned over the time who interacts with us, who does all this stuff. Like, it's not the most 100% accurate, but it definitely gets the gist of it.
I like that these moves, we're talking about risk and stuff, but this is a calculated risk. This isn't, you're not just out there kind of, blind squirrel kind of muscling your way through it. I mean, you're kind of you're gathering information, like you said, this data-driven decision making, which, I mean, that's really the key to this.
Yeah, everything's run by data at Midday Squares, from stores that we open up to the spend that we have on our budgets for demoing, marketing, performance, for even our systems for management, inventory, supply chain. Everything's data driven. Everything, literally the whole 9 yards. Even manufacturing, it's a lean manufacturing process. So It all needs to be run by data and analytical stuff, and not just guess and check.
I absolutely do know. Yeah. That's legit, man. And so you're talking about there's a couple things you mentioned, and I see that you've got this strategic vision, this kind of long term where you want to be, and you just laid out really something. You kind of said it like whatever, right? So it's obviously like this is a conversation that you guys are having regularly. You talked about the stages of how you're growing. You're going from, I went to the gyms, and then I went to this, and then then I'm going to get into the big box, and then I'm going to end up in the gas station. You've got like this whole progression set up. That strategy, I mean, good on you guys, for real.
Yeah, we're strategically reckless. I like to call that. We're millennials that just we have fun, but we know what we're doing. It's all calculated. It's not just guess and check. It's not spray and paint. There's none of that strategy. It's everything we do, from the content we put out to the stores we open to the the capital people we raise from. It's all very strategic on what our mission is and how we're getting there.
So talk to me about kind of the long term, right? Like, where do you ideally, like, when you're ready to say, I made it, what does that look like?
Yeah. So, yeah, our goal is we have a clear model to get us to $100 million in revenue over the next 3.5 years. That would mean we made it at that point, not because of the dollar value, because of, if we could build the community we've built at this stage, this year we'll do about 10 million. If we could do that at 100, it's so powerful. It's the magnitude is just so powerful that I believe we would have made it. And we don't want to sell our company, and I'm not going to say it will never sell, but for us, we're looking at a potential IPO. We're looking at all other types of things that, we want to do. But, for us, it's just like, we want to build a chocolate conglomerate that's new age. So basically approach it with the way that we approach community, the way we approach our interaction with our customers, the transparency, the realness, the authenticity, and then in product innovation consistently. And I believe we have a chance at actually doing what some of these conglomerates did in 60 years in less than 10, and with way more impact. So that's what we kind of want to do.
I believe you. Like,
I love that. I love it, man. That fires me up.
I feel like if I didn't, I probably just wouldn't say anything. Be like, oh, that's awesome. And then kind of move on, like.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. We're fired up. And like I said, we're going to die on this hill, either success or not success, one or the other, but at least, we're going to die on the hill.
Well, I mean, I think at this point you're halfway down this thing. I mean, it's not, yeah, you've made so much headway in such a short time. And like you said, I mean, the product is great. It really is. It's surprisingly, I was slightly skeptical going into it, because I'm kind of a chocolate snob.
Well, you know what I mean, but you said something very important, and I think this is sad about the food world. So we did data mining on our Google reviews. We have like 1,700 Google reviews or something. And we did data mining on that. The Amazon, we have another like a couple of hundred in Amazon. We have like 500, 600, 700 and Facebook, all these platforms. We took the data mining and we found the most common word, and the most common actually. So the word actually, and what's sad about that is how much distrust does the consumer have in food and beverage brands, if that they actually, oh, this actually does what it says. It actually tastes so good. It actually does, it actually made my day, or, it's actually good customer service. It's like, well, I don't understand. Is it that we have such little love into people in the products that we consume, that we have so little trust. So when I read that, it's like, I'm not proud of that we are actually doing it, because it shouldn't be actually, it should just be doing. But it's like, why is the bar so low? It has to be way higher. It has to be way higher. We could innovate great quality products using real food ingredients. That's number one. Everyone could do it. All the companies can do it. It's just very costly, but you could figure out ways to make it reasonable pricing, blah, blah, blah. But at least you're giving the consumer something that's really good for you. And you're also putting love into it. Every company is just looking for short-term gains, cost cutting, hit their quarter numbers, blah, blah, blah. For us, we're playing a long game here. We're not playing a short term. So if we had a bad month, it's okay. If we had 2 bad months, it's okay. It's a long game. We're playing for the end goal of where we're going. And if we don't put love into our product, from, like I said, customer experience, from the product taste, from the product quality, from the way it's packaged, blah, 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 we have failed. We have just failed. So that word actually scares me. It's like, okay, well, hopefully things can change in the future. And I always tell other entrepreneurs, give all the love you can into your product, because that's your bread and butter. That's your baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are entering into a new realm, right? This is a similar. I'm sure if Tesla did the same sort of research, they probably would see a lot of the same stuff. Like, oh, this self-driving actually works, right?
Yep.
Like that, because and I think it's just that's what you get with the innovating. I remember when these phones first came out, I was a non-believer with, like, I said, I want to feel the buttons when I push on them. I don't know that I could go for the
Yep.
screen. And then when I got it, I was like, actually, this is really convenient and it works. You know what I mean? Like, I would challenge you to say that what you're getting, that feedback that you're getting, is maybe not so much a skepticism, is more of, I need to reframe the way I thought about something, right? So you are truly changing. Every one of those actually is you changing somebody's mind on what is feasible and what is possible and what's delicious. And I'm one of those people, I can tell you that
I love it, man. I love it. That fires me up so much. That gets me going.
that's outstanding. So, we're getting here near the end of our the time, and first off, thank you so much for every minute that you've given. I have absolutely loved it. Now, somebody who's maybe behind you in your journey, and you and I are engaging with similar folks on LinkedIn, and we know some of those people, and maybe we can get one of them to listen to this. They're a little bit behind you on their journey, and they're at the point of they're moving from their condo to their kitchen. What would you tell them, like, some key things that they need to really focus on right now so that they can make it through this stage and get to the next one?
3 things. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's number 1. Number 2 is always be unapologetically yourself. And number 3, follow your gut. It's always right. In the end, we made too many mistakes not following our gut, and they costed us a lot of capital and time. Number 4, block out all the noise around you, because that noise can put you in analysis paralysis. You go with your gut and you block out that noise, because that noise is dangerous, from experts, from consultants, from people, your friends. It's a lot. And if you listen to all of it, it confuses where your actual goal is and what you're supposed to be doing. And then you start to question everything, and your paranoia actually becomes a negative paranoia, not a positive one. So I think those are the things I would tell this entrepreneur or this person in their own, if they're working for someone else, the same thing.
That's phenomenal advice. It's funny. You were talking about trusting your gut. So I'm a veteran, combat veteran, and I remember having some conversations with some guys when I first got into country, and one of them told me, "Hey, listen, man, if something doesn't seem right, it's because it's not. Just trust that." And 24 months of combat, my team never hit an explosive device, improvised explosive device. 24 months.
Wow.
Now they did a whole lot of walking. We would stop. It took me longer to get everywhere, but that was kind of like my driving mentality too. It was this doesn't seem right, just stop. But like, I don't know why. Like, why are we stopping? I don't know, man. Something just doesn't seem right. Let's just take a minute here, and pause and think about the situation, analyze, like, why is my gut telling me this? And it's so beautiful, because I have also applied that into my business life as well, of like, I don't know, that my gut's telling me this is right, or my gut's telling me this is wrong. It's like kind of like this. It's really cool to hear somebody else just say, like, hey, trust it.
Well, amazing. Yeah, dude, 100%. First of all, thank you for your service, everything you've done. But yeah, gut is everything. You gotta play that game and learn, and maybe sometimes don't trust it and learn that this is how you trust. You got to build the muscle. It needs to be built, because, it's uncomfortable sometimes to follow your gut. It really is, but you got to get comfortable appreciating it and trusting it, because once you do, it's not going to let you down. It really won't.
It's interesting that talking out of both sides of the mouth. Also, we talk about fear, right? There are different sensations of fear and discomfort. Because fear, I use that as a motivator. If I'm afraid of something, it's because I'm about to do something really cool. I'm about to, venture into new territory. I'm afraid of heights. I used to jump out of airplanes with the military, right? Like I was always afraid every single time. It didn't matter how many times I jumped. I was always scared before I went out that door. But I learned that, this fear is what's driving. I also felt that fear when I asked my wife to marry me. I also felt that fear when I held my son for the first time, right? So that fear was an indicator that something great was about to happen.
I love that. I love that. That gets me going, man. That gives me energy. That gives me light, man. Come on, that's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. This is so, I feel like, well, I mean, I could talk to you forever and, like, I just want to like, give me more, right? Give me more. Like, how do you get into the store and what do you pick on the packaging? And like, I feel like, those are all absolutely, important things. But the kind of the driving force is trust your gut and, and, don't fear, right?
Exactly. I like that. Don't fear fear. It makes it, man. It makes a lot of sense, dude. If you ever want to have a conversation after, no problem. Always available to chat with you. I love your energy, man.
Yours too. And so if somebody wants to, they've heard this, they've heard me like play up this chocolate, like how can they find it? How can they taste it? And then how can they find you to hear more about it?
Yeah. So if you want to find the product, go to www.middaysquares.com. Store locator, you'll find stores around you. In the US, we have a lot of natural. So Sprouts has it. Again, we're located in the refrigerators. Some other like mom and pop natural stores have it. We're going to be launching a lot more over the US over the next year. So stay tuned. Otherwise, on our website, we ship either via Amazon or our own website, D2C, 2 to 4 business days. And to find me, follow me on LinkedIn, Jake Carls, or on Instagram, Jake Carls, and then follow our journey of Midday Squares on Instagram. And it's fun. It's really fun, and we show the day to day. And like I said, the journey of entrepreneurship. And we also have a podcast too, called Midday Squares Uncensored. You can see it on our website. It's on Apple. It's on Shopify, Spotify, all those things. But that just shows the unfiltered version of running our business.
That's actually, I could see that as being a great resource for anybody that is looking to grow too. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I'm going to check it out. So I'm glad you plugged it, please. So
of course.
Awesome. Hey man, I really enjoyed this. I hope the listeners paid attention and go check it out. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, brother.